Hi, welcome back. Well, now we're going to be talking about nature, and we're going to be speaking with the author of our book, Nature, Divine Experiences with Trees, Plants, Stones, and Landscapes, Ana Maria Vasquez. So let me tell you a little bit about Ana Maria before we bring her on. So Ana Maria is the author of Nature, as we said. She's also a well-known and respected multi-sensory nature and animal intuitive. And Ana Maria does, she does so many things. I connected with Ana Maria years ago because she had a course on trees. And I said, oh, thank goodness. Trees, those are my friends. And, when we worked with a lot of people in nature, there weren't really those deep expressions or deep connections with the tree beings or the tree people. And until I met Ana Maria. And then our relationship just continued. So Ana Maria is a multisensory animal and nature intuitive. She also has multiple courses on Sacred You, our online course division. She is the author of Nature. And Ana Maria has a number of courses and programs on her own platform. So you are in for a treat today. So welcome, Ana Maria Vasquez, to Common Sentience Day on Can.
Oh my goodness, I feel like I should have sent you a card, right? Happy Common Sentience Day. What a joy, and the biggest joy, it's not about us being here. It's about us giving voice to this connection that we have with the divine through the natural realm. And that's what lights me up, is how many people, right, say the same thing you do when they find out that I'm a tree talker. Oh my goodness, I love the trees. I'm tree kin too. So for us to be able to have these conversations, not in hushed tones,
Right.
behind closed doors, but right out here, and then to go experience it for ourselves. Don't just take our word for it. Go and
Right.
experience it. It's such an honor.
Yeah, yeah. And in your book, I have to say, so I'm gonna do a little blatant promotion here. So, but Nature is the only book in the Common Sentience series that I have a story in, at least to date. And my story, even though the tree beings are my kin, as you say, my story is about the stone people, the stone beings. And I wasn't going to tell my story. And it's a story about this whole vision and conversation that I had with these stone beings in pots and pans, England. But the stones wouldn't stop speaking, and they just kept nudging me and nudging me. And I'm like, no, I'm too busy publishing the book. I don't have time to write my story. And they just wouldn't stop until I wrote my story. So I put my own story in Ana Maria's book, but I think it's a good one. And it just lights me up that that we have books like Common Sentience, where our stories, these true experiences that we are all having, we can be loud and proud and really honor the other sentient beings that are here with us.
Yeah, the piece that excited me so much about this project was it wasn't just me telling you stuff, right? Like that's important, the how to and all that, but it was more important that we were coming together collectively and sharing these experiences. And I find all the time that people say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you told that story, because me too, right? That happened to me, or I thought I was crazy, or I didn't have anyone to tell. And we are a people of storytelling. So this is so important. Oh my goodness, my crown chakra is totally vibrating right now. We are these storytelling people. And this is how we're going to remember. This is how we're going to usher in the new world. So this is how we make a difference, being here, these infinite beings embodied in this physical, natural world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so what's really important, and just, we haven't really talked about this much on the show yet, but each one of these books, there's three parts, and part one is wisdom. So Ana Maria really tells you what is this natural realm and all the parts of it and how they communicate with us and what they're all about. Part two are the stories. And then part three are the experiences. How do you deepen into this relationship? If you have a resonance with the natural world, well, then what do you do? And we're going to go into those experiences today. I'm going to ask Ana Maria to explain what some of them are, and then she's going to lead us in a practice at the end. Um, but Ana Maria, I want to start with, because you say it all the time, we even have a chapter in the book titled this, say that you say, we are nature. What do you mean by that? Really give us some context for that.
Well, it's such a simple concept, right? Like, we are nature. We are really classified as animals on this planet in the biological sense. And yet we forget that at a very basic level. And we have this amnesia. It's almost like once we moved out of the woods or out of the farms or whatever, all of a sudden we're not nature anymore, but we are biological in that we are part of that circle of life. And we also, just like everything in nature, including the trees, not just the animals, but the trees, the rocks, the plants, everything, it receives information that Mother Earth, that Gaia is putting out, the frequencies, the information that she is putting out about the time of year, what's happening, what's the cycle, what's the rhythm. And it's a subtle energy, but it has been measured. And us as humans, again, as soon as we moved out of the woods, we forgot and we forget, and we're in these synthetic environments, and they're wonderful, the ways that they're wonderful, but we are removed, and it creates that duality within us and around us. And it makes us think that we're not part of that greater whole of the natural world, but we are wired, not just biologically, but energetically, to make that connection and to have it be a two-way conversation, not just one way or us receiving good vibes. It goes so much deeper than that.
So let's do that. Let's go a little bit deeper. So in part 3, the first chapter is practices to deepen your nature experiences. And Ana Maria explains what a number of them are. And the first one is, it's getting a lot of play today. It's getting a lot of press. It's kind of coming into the mainstream, this concept that you talk about in the book. But I don't know that everybody really understands it. So let's start with earthing. What does earthing mean? And how do you do it?
Right. So people, when I say earthing, people say, oh, do you mean grounding? And I'm like, well, yes, but no. It's a whole different aspect. And it is actually based on science. So in our world, right, we've got all these free radicals that are damaging to our cells. They're actually breaking down our cells, causing problems, even giving misinformation. And when we are out in the natural world, because a lot of those free radicals are created in the synthetic environments. And imagine, right, we spend all our time in these synthetic environments. When we're out in the natural world, the earth herself is giving off these negative ions that actually help support the body in so many different ways at a cellular level, anti-inflammatory. And when you are, it's great to just be outside, but if you can be outside barefoot on either some moist grass or sand or rock, but on the earth, not on a piece of cement, on the earth, or even standing on your wooden deck, like be on the earth with those bare feet, or laying with your body against the earth or your hands on a tree. There's a way at the bottom of your feet, you have between 50,000 to 80,000 receptors that are able to take in these negative ions. And when they have found, again, study after study has found that when you're consistent and you are earthing on a regular basis for at least 5 minutes, if you have some really serious stuff going on, you might need to do it more. But the studies are showing that consistent 5-minute exposure to those negative ions is reducing inflammation. It's helping reverse different issues that people are having. And it reminds us at the base level that this connection to the earth, it's not just a nice thing to have, it's actually crucial to our well-being on this planet.
I didn't realize we had that many receptors at the bottom of our feet. Like, that's just fascinating. And that's what I love about working with you as well, because not only do you have the full experience of it and you have the two-way communication with nature, but you have a really deep well of knowledge and wisdom around it and why. You have kind of like the why this all works as well. So thank you for that.
I love that space where science meets spirituality, right?
Yeah.
That like gets me so excited.
Yeah.
Especially my mental mind is like, oh, look, proof.
Right, right. And you go into some of that in the book, which is so perfect because it's like for me, I don't need it because I just feel it. And I'm like, I'm not a science girl, but I know that it is important to help others kind of really fully embody what this is. And so I'm pro science for that reason. But but I when I hug a tree, which is the next thing we're going to talk about, that's all I need. I don't know I don't know why it's happening. I just know it's happening and I'm just in the experience of it. But tell us about tree hugging. That goes a lot further than that tree hugger kind of connotation you had of, like in the 70s, let's say, when people who were truly the pioneers, I would say, of today, were called tree huggers, and not the most positive way. So what's tree hugging in a positive way?
Well, and tree hugging really is that natural extension, that next piece of the earthing, right? You're doing that earthing to bring in that good earth energy to help your body remember, right? So it's a physical piece, but there's the spiritual component and energetic as well. But when you move to tree hugging, it is literally about connecting with that tree at one being to another being. And whenever we're doing anything in connection with the earth or the natural realm in whatever form, it's about receiving the information through our clair senses, right? So it's not that the tree is going to open its mouth and start to talk, right? Because it's confusing. It's like, well, where would the mouth be, right? It's not like that. And that's when we have to start to bring it all together, that we might hear something in our mind's ear or in the physical. We might see something in our mind's eye or in the physical. We might just feel something, an emotion or a physical sensation, or you might just have a knowing drop in. And that's what you want to pay attention to when you're doing any of these exercises, is what are you perceiving? And I like to think of it as a container, right? Because maybe when I'm outside of that container, I got a little doubt. I'm not sure. Who knows? But when I'm there connecting with that tree, right? And you can either hug the tree or you can just put your hands on the tree. And the truth is, you can even just be under the tree, because the tree's auric field is essentially that drip line of the tree. So as soon as you're under that drip line, you're in connection. And intention is our superpower as humans. So when we couple that connection with our intention, we go places. And so when we connect with that tree, we want to pay attention to all the senses, right? If you're hugging the tree, you're going to start very mundane, right? Like, what does the bark feel like on me or under my hands? What am I smelling? What aroma am I smelling? Maybe I am tasting something in the air. And then you just want to be quiet, right? Take some deep breaths. When we hold our breath, we actually put a kink in that connection, in the hose of that connection. So we want to breathe, right? Because when we, again, use our intention, our superpower of intention, and couple it with conscious intent and breath, we activate that heart coherence. And that heart coherence, it's a thing, right? And it connects us to the quantum field. And from there, we can go wherever we want. So the trees act as an amplifier. I mean, think of them as like a big antenna or a little antenna if you're dealing with a baby tree or a small tree, but they're like an antenna, an amplifier, and they're flowing life force energy. And so whether you're looking to have a conversation with that tree in particular, maybe about its own experience, or you're bringing your own things, right? Like, this is on my heart and mind today, or I'm really having a hard time dealing with this, that, or the other. I need some guidance. That's the place to go, right? That's what we do. And we start by making that connection by physically coming into contact with the tree. But even before we do that, we always want to ask permission. One of the things the trees have joked about with me, and I don't think it's that much of a joke, is we're really cute. Like, humans are really cute, but we're kind of like toddlers. Super cute, but we have no manners, right? We just do whatever we want. We take whatever we want, right? And all of a sudden we're all seeing, oh, I get it. So we want to ask first, right? You may be drawn to a particular tree, but then ask, do you want to interact with me, or is it okay? Or I'm looking for a connection. And then stop, feel. Do you feel, maybe you'll hear a yes. Maybe, sometimes I'll see a green light. Perhaps you feel lighter. And if you feel lighter, that's a yes. If you feel heavy, like, oh, then it's a no. Your body may even sway. If you sway forward, it's a yes. If you sway backwards, it's a no. And we're not to take it personal, right? There may be a better tree for us to connect with that would be a better match for us. But that process of asking and listening and then making a conscious connection, all of it, I feel like it's this amazing cosmic bait and switch, right? Ooh, pretty trees. I love trees. Oh, there's a bigger meaning behind all of this, and the unity consciousness that it points to, where we're all connected. There is no them. There is no tree.
So I love that. So I encourage everyone, to really go out and hug a tree and do what Ana Maria said. Well, first of all, be aware of the drip line as the auric field. So that's really fascinating, because I think what that does is gives us a focus. So is any trees you're seeing now, like imagine their auric field, like it brings us the intention and attention through that, knowing that that's the auric field, and then you're stepping within their auric field, and maybe envision your auric field or growing your auric field as you're connecting with the tree. I'm sure it will be expanding. And thank you for reminding them to ask permission. I don't always, I have to say, I do in conversation with them, but I don't necessarily maybe always remember to begin with asking permission. And that's so important, whether it's trees or the stones. Let's talk about the stones, because, those are my people. In your book, you have stones sitting and gazing. What's that?
Oh my, and all of it links off the other one, right? Because, so we talked about the receptors on the bottoms of our feet. So at our tailbone, right? We've got the bottom of our spine, and that's a whole column of all of these, basically fiber optics in our body, right? That are giving information, sending information. And when we sit on a stone, it's like plugging in to this amazing energetic being. The rock beings and the stone beings are really about frequencies. I mean, everything is really about frequencies when we get down to it, but they really emanate that. And there are studies that have shown that the rocks, whether they're small, whether they're big, are actually putting out, right, transmitting energy frequencies at very specific intervals. And then they're also calling in. They're magnetic. They're electromagnetic, which means they do both. They put it out and they pull it in. So when we connect with a stone and we sit on that stone, we are plugging in and we are piggybacking onto those frequencies, either being transmitted or coming in. And it's not that you have to become this huge expert on, what does a granite stone put out? Because you can really use it as that amplifier. Now, if you're working, with sandstone, and that's a very feminine stone, right? You're sitting on a sandstone block, and you would do best to look at things that bring you into the flow, right? So when we look at how stones are formed, that can tell us about their energy that would be primary for them. So if we're looking at like a sandstone, a limestone, we're looking at, maybe putting out intentions about more flow, and not just our lives, but maybe even the flow of guidance coming in. So we can look at the type of rocks and we can work on our intentions based on that, or really just connect. People always ask me, well, what's the best? What's the best? The best is when you actually go outside and do it. No matter what rock, what tree, what mountain, what river, that you just go make the connection, and not to worry about, did I get it right? If you've got that pure intent and you're asking permission, you're not going to do it wrong. You're not going to break something. It's about getting out there and having that experience.
I agree completely. But if you're wondering and you're like, but I really like to know, who knew sandstone was a feminine stone? Like, to me, that's fascinating. In Ana Maria's book, Nature, she actually has an appendix in the back that has, thank you for showing it, tree, flower, and rock symbolism, and she goes into this in more detail. So if you, and then it's kind of fun, like to try to sit on different rocks and really turn into the energy and see what you feel or what you hear or what you sense, see how the energy may be different for you
Yeah,
as
with
well.
all of these, right? With the tree hugging, hug different trees and see if you feel a difference, between an elm tree or an oak tree or, a granite stone or a piece of obsidian or something to that effect. But there's this piece where when we're again plugging our body in intentionally, right? When we were earthing, we're doing that with our feet. When we're connecting with the tree, we're doing it with our hands on the tree or around the tree, and then with our tailbone with the stone. But you can also do it just by looking at stones. Sometimes I can't get to my sit stones, right? But I have other allies of rock beings that can source me. So if you can focus, just like a soft gaze meditation, looking at the stone, softly holding your intention. We don't want to be like, I want a bike, I want a bike, I want a bike, right? It's not like that. It's more about dropping into the space of gratitude and possibility and connection. And from there to allow that divine flow of guidance to come through. And we're doing it when we connect with another being, right? Whether it's a human, whether it's a rock, whether it's a tree.
Well, let's talk about the water beings. Let's talk about the element of water, because I just realized it's fascinating because I've read your book multiple times, but I haven't talked through it with you like this before. And to see it's kind of brilliant, honestly, Ana Maria. The next thing in your book is the sacred herbal stone bath and then natural hot springs. So now you're taking the stones and you're moving into the element of water, right? So talk about the stone baths, but then talk about natural hot springs, because when I was reading the draft of your book, I didn't know anything about the natural hot springs. And I just thought, wow, that is so incredibly fascinating and important information. So share that with us today, please.
Thank you very much. And it does, again, right? One thing leads to another, and it's all this divine conspiracy to get us connected. And, again, some people will listen and they'll be like, meh, trees, they're nice. But rocks, right? Like they really light up, or, the earthing or the water, right? Some people are just water beings. And so that herbal bath really came to me through my love for natural hot springs, right? Like I have a rule in my life. I have to live within 30 minutes of a natural hot spring, because that is Mama Earth energy, like on 10, with the water's a natural conduit. And so when we pair water from deep inside the earth that is warmed by fire within the earth, it's all of the elements really conspiring to source us. And natural hot springs have been a part of indigenous ceremonies and traditions, and even spaces of peace for warring nations would come together, and that would be a treaty, a place where there was no fighting, because it was so sacred, the way the earth was supplying this, and the minerals that come up, that when we are in hot water, right, our pores open up, we're taking them in another way, and we're being bathed in those frequencies. So my love for those natural hot springs was like, how can I create that? And what I know about that for, our wellness in another way, like a little energetic spa treatment, right? A natural energetic spa treatment at home. And I got very clear, we'll just gather up pieces of Mama Earth, put them in a bandana, right? Ask some rocks and stones. You might want to do some of your favorite crystals. You may want to put some flower essences in there, some twigs, whatever it is that you're feeling. The energy, maybe a pine cone with the Fibonacci sequence going on there. I mean, there's so many layers and stacks. You put it in a bandana, and you want to be careful, right, not to get your drains all clogged up. And then, put that in underneath the water where it's pouring in. And when you soak in it, it's important that you're in there for at least 20 minutes. And that is based on different science for therapeutic baths of different sorts. And so, of course, that would apply when we're working with that earth energy. And to really be open to receiving, what is it that nature, that my nature is looking to reveal to me? Or what is it that I need to know? You know, we don't always have to have very specific, like, oh, you know, which job should I take? Although that's absolutely fine. But when we open ourselves up and take our hands off the wheel a little bit, like, what do I need to know right now? What would source me? We can be in there in that 20-minute meditation and really begin to receive, again, with that water being such a conduit. There's so many times that we're like on, you know, really trying to figure it out. And whenever we're trying to figure it out, we're way off track. So when we're there, if we can shift, and then I always tell people, get into water, right? Take a bath, take a shower, do the dishes, do the laundry, because that water is going to amplify. When you change the direction of the mind, the answer can get in. It can get a foot in there. So do that. And then when you're done with the bath and you've got your little bundle and your bandana, maybe put it on your altar, or maybe put it in a sacred space under a tree outside, but a space that you can honor it and thank it for sourcing you. And sometimes the answer doesn't come right then, right? If it's really charged, maybe it's going to take a day, a week. But for you to keep coming back and I call it a touch point, have a touch point that reactivates that energy for you.
Love that. I love that. And there's so much more in the book. There's so much more information. But I'd like to ask you now to take us through a short practice or meditation or something, so that even though we're all kind of sitting in front of our computers, and, you know, maybe some people are out in nature with their phones, which would be nice. But bring us where we can deepen our connection as well.
Yeah, I'm going to take us through a meditation that layers some of the things that we talked about, and even some of the things we didn't get to, like sacred geometry. And so what we're going to do is, this is going to be a tree manifesting, and trees are getting the credit, but there's other things going on there with the nature. So if everyone can just close your eyes and imagine yourself walking into a forest, being beckoned into the forest, taking in the sights, the smells, the sounds as you move deeper into this forest. And ahead, you see 3 trees with large canopies overlapping each other. And you've been given divine permission to enter into the center of those 3 trees, where they have created this triangle, and where their canopies, their auric fields, are overlapping and creating that point of creation, that Vesica Pisces. And so situate yourself, whether you're standing or sitting, or maybe you're visualizing yourself laying down in the center of these trees, and just begin to drop into gratitude for the time and the space to have this soulful conversation with these beautiful tree beings, connecting with this sacred geometry that points you and connects you to your source as a creator, your ability to manifest on a very large scale. And as you're here in that gratitude, hear the trees asking you. They say they have 3 questions for you. The first question is, what's going on for you right now? Around that one thing you're looking to manifest, what's going on? And just let them know honestly, openly, what's going on. Perhaps it's money you're looking to manifest, and you got an NSF notice from the bank. Perhaps it's a partner, but you had another bad date the other day. Perhaps it's a new job, and you just don't see the possibilities that they exist anywhere to do something that lights you up. Tell the trees what's going on for you around what it is you're looking to manifest, to call in your life. Now they're asking you the second question. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about what's up, what's going on around what you're looking to manifest? Perhaps you're feeling frustrated or angry or sad or resigned. It's important to feel into that emotion, because emotions are energy in motion, and they give us a roadmap to what is looking for healing in our lives. So when we couple the emotion of what we're feeling with what's showing up in this 3D, it shows us those places where we can bring some compassion, some healing. And now most of us humans, the trees have watched us for the ages and for eons, and they've seen us as humans roll our problems around in our head and beat the drum of what we don't want instead of what we do want. And so those two pieces of information, what's up and how you feel about it, instead of beating that drum of what's wrong and how bad it is, the trees are asking you the third question that will create the pattern interrupt and put out a new transmission for you around this manifestation. And that question is that your truth? Is what's showing up and how you're feeling, is that your truth? Is that the truth, your highest truth of who you be? And so you can respond to the trees, even though that's what's going on and that's how I feel about it. That is not my truth. That is not my truth. My truth is prosperity. My truth is abundance. My truth is love and partnership and deep, profound connection. And the trees are asking you to beat that drum of prosperity, abundance, connection, love. And when you come back, when your human mind brings you back to those worries, come back to the trees, stand in the center of this sacred geometry and this life force energy and this amplification of your intentions and that which you're releasing, those old stories. Know that you are sourced and you have allies to support you in standing in your brilliance. Thank each of these beautiful trees for everything that they've brought through, and they will continue to percolate through for you as you move forward. And do come back and visit these trees as often as you can to build this relationship with them, with you, and with the truth of who you truly be. Landing in gratitude for that time, thanking the trees, knowing you'll be back and coming back up that forest path, out of the forest, rejoining us here, staying connected at that heart space, but wiggling around in your seat so that we can be here together again, and opening your eyes whenever you're ready.
Wow, thank you. Wow, that was beautiful. And I absolutely love the pattern interrupt. Talk about the new earth and the new paradigm, the new world we're creating. We need to pattern interrupt. We need to think different thoughts and really speak to our truth, find our truth. And I believe that when we're in deep connection with the natural realm, it is so much more evident for us. It is so much more obvious, and we feel it so much more deeply. Wow. Ana Maria Vasquez. Oh my gosh, this has been an absolute, just a joy. It's always a joy. It's always a joy. Thank you. Would you like to say any last words for our audience? Anything you want to leave them with? That was
Yeah, well, the book, right? This was such a labor of love and deep, profound connection with the trees. That was like that next piece for me as well in my own learning through them. But what I love about the series, aside from being included in it, is whatever it is that is your portal into your connection with the divine, whether it's angels, whether it's sound, whether it's meditation. I mean, there's so many of them now. Whatever it is, lean in. These books are brilliant and resource books, really, that you will turn to time and time again to give you the background on the topic and to give you inspiration of other people who have had those experiences, and then roadmaps to help you take it deeper for yourself. And so it's such an honor to be a part of something that's so beneficial and so sourcing. And I know my partner and I have enjoyed reading the other books as they've been coming out. And again, thinking of the people who, oh, this will be perfect for them. They have such a predisposition to the angels or whatever it may be. So I'm honored. And if you resonated with anything that we talked about here, there's so much more in the book, right? We just had such a small sliver of time, and happy Common Sentience Day.
I love that. Happy Common Sentience Day. Thank you. No, thank you. It is, I feel that it is just such important wisdom and experiences that we are bringing back to form. This has existed before and it was lost, and we're bringing it back now. So thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being here today, and to be continued, right? Mm-hmm.